On this because you also mentioned Maine.
Yes.
This is a good example of what people are talking about because you have Senate Democrats there rallying around a new choice for senator. Governor Janet Mills has ended her campaign, and Governor Mills had been recruited into the race by Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer just last year. However, the 78-year-old quickly found herself trailing against a more progressive candidate, Graham Platner. Now, Platner's known as a Maine oyster farmer, military veteran, and then it surfaced during the primary that he had a controversial history of social media posts. Still, he out fundraised the governor by millions of dollars, had a double-digit lead in polling. Here's what he told supporters after the announcement that Mills was out.
We both got into this race because we knew how critical it is to defeat Susan Collins. And her decision today reflects a commitment to that project. I look forward to working closely with her between now and November to do just that.
So this follows the other conversation because the movement of the progressive movement within the party is this battle is playing out everywhere. There are other candidates that Chuck Schumer has backed that aren't exactly, in the lead because there's a more progressive candidate available. I want to ask you, what do you think of why Platner has survived the scandals that have come up?
Great question. Here's what I will say. I think he's really made this hyper-local in terms of him being from Maine, an oyster farmer, understanding the struggles of people from Maine. If you heard the interview he did this past week with Jon Stewart, he really talked about that in the first 20 minutes. And I had a conversation with Congressman Pat Ryan about this after the 24 election, because he's flipped the district that he was in. Trump led with respect to voting, but it was a +12 for him. And he said, I made it super, again, Congress, House of Representatives, a little bit different than Senate, but he made it very local and focused on an issue that everybody knew about because he was from that town. Democrats need to start getting behind some of these candidates. This is the overarching question. Will Democrats actually learn from some of this stuff? They pushed away the way Mamdani walked all the way down from Washington Heights down to Manhattan as a Bronx kid. That was awesome to see. But they because it didn't emanate from them, they didn't like it.
Well, let me follow up on that. So Platner's
campaign
platform, End Billionaire Welfare, right? It's a part of this anti-billionaire anti-billionaire movement, which Bernie Sanders and others are supporting, stopping mass deportations, creating an economic Bill of Rights, and supporting unions. CNN's own K-File reporter last October uncovered a lot of his social media posts where he once called himself a communist. He dismissed all police as bastards, said that rural white Americans actually are racist and stupid. There were some Reddit posts with some sort of misogynist commentary. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because when you listen to the Jon Stewart interview, one of the things Platner does is tell a sort of story of redemption. I was this guy. I was this guy on social media. I'm the kind of guy you actually want to flip and bring into the party. Here's what he said to Jon Stewart.
To see myself being framed by people who have never met me, who know absolutely nothing about my background, really, who like just latched on to this, like, oh, this guy said dumb things on the internet 15 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, man, I did. Because I was like an angry young dude who got back from my 4th combat tour and like was isolated and lonely and spent time bitching on the internet.
Sure, I'll take that. I think that's a compelling argument. Listen, I think we're in a moment where there's a lot of insurgent energy, especially on the left.
Insurgent or anti-incumbent?
So I think actually insurgent. I think it's not just anti-incumbent. I think people want real change. There has been if you think about Trump's election, that was the beginning of the insurgency, all right? And I think this is now coming for the left, and I don't think it's progressive, and I don't think it has a name that is very easily identifiable. It is literally just, this isn't working for us. Throw the bums out. We want someone from the outside.
I think the Maine race, that race, is a perfect test case for that. Yeah. Under the old world, let's say 2006, the Senate race there, Janet Mills would have been the perfect candidate. That is exactly who Democrats would have targeted, the sort of mainstream person, and she might have won in a year like that. Around the country, you're seeing that kind of populist uprising on the right and left, and I think this is an interesting,
and
how powerful that is will be an interesting test for
Lulu,
this
like
year.
you, I've been wondering since the 2024 Senate cycle, when there were a bunch of Republican candidates with some really unsavory backgrounds in the Senate, and there was a big conversation about what was called candidate quality. So you saw Herschel Walker, Sean Parnell, Josh Mandel. These are people that they failed, right, when he got to the primary. And this is the argument, and when you got to the general. And I think this is the argument from a lot of Schumer-style Democrats. They say, look over there. Just because someone appeals, just because someone has this shaggy background that you can explain away, it doesn't mean they're going to survive the general election. In the era of Trump, is that true? Or is the pre-Trump concept of candidate quality dead and gone?
Well, I think it's a candidate quality of who appeals towards the actual policy proposals of the base. So the youth on the left is expressly more socialist. That's not my label. That's their label.
Yeah,
that they've taken
anti-billionaire,
on.
all that kind of stuff.
So again, May Day, look at the protests that are scheduled for today. Of course, Platner's endorsement of those kind of events already coming into play here. He proposes these kind of policies that they look for as anti-incumbent, but also insurgent socially as being more outspoken and flamboyant in those critiques, like you've seen from a lot of populist right-wing candidates. You wouldn't compare Senator Josh Hawley on more the populist side to the more establishment Republican Mitch McConnell. Very different comm styles, very different campaign styles. I think it's a little interesting that grace is selectively given. Obviously, over on the right side of the aisle, I would be more readily happy to criticize his past in certain areas because that's what we do. And on the left, I notice a lot of, oh, it was 15 years ago, come on. But the comments were saying sometimes those who are raped deserve it.
Can I just say, in the era of Nick Fuentes, can we not? Like, maybe there's...
I was part of the organization that kicked him out 10 years ago.
That's fine, but I'm just saying there's very clearly a modern widening of the window of the political discourse that neither party has adequately explained away that I don't understand.
Sure, but you're talking about sexual assault here, and I just think Democrats would be screaming bloody murder.
Talking about sexual assault, he has not, because right now there's a lawmaker who is facing sexual assault claims who's not being kicked out of Congress.
Understood, correct. But Democrats would be screaming bloody murder if a Republican candidate
said sometimes she deserves it.
Yeah, under their old rubric.
Like 15 years ago, I was a younger guy.
Well, since woke is over, I'm not sure.
So Schumer, by the way, Schumer's fate hangs in the balance here because everyone's looking at this and saying this was exactly what went wrong. He didn't embrace the right person. He was trying to play this old playbook. When I interviewed him, he basically said this is why he's leader, because he knows how to pick pedigreed candidates that will win. And by the way, he did in 2024. He overperformed there. But the question is he the man for this moment? And how this plays out will be very, very telling.
Real quick, you mentioned Mitch McConnell, sort of nationally unpopular, popular with the 26 people in his caucus that needed to keep electing him leader.
Right, same with Schumer, terrible appeal on the national, but popular in his caucus.
His national polls might be down, but he's popular with the folks who vote for him.
I'm not sure he's so popular anymore.
Will Dems, if he does win in the general, will Dems learn from that? That's the biggest thing. Dems have not learned from certain campaigns because if it didn't emanate from the DNC thought process, they have not channeled it with other campaigns.
What will we learn if he ends up
Can I just also say Platner is untested?
Yes.
We've only seen these things come out from the media. I don't know what the Republicans have in store for him, but I imagine it's going to be pretty ugly.
Once you escape you get velocity out of the press that loves you.
Don't have to waste money on Mills anymore.
Yeah, exactly. All right.